Hello everyone, Dr. Ryan here. It's that time of year again, the time of year when our kids go back to school. It's a really common sight to see. You take them up to school, some of the kids are really excited running into school to see their friends, while others you think, school holidays, summer holidays will be here again before they even get out of the door of the car. They're moving that slowly. Then there are the parents, those ones that are really excited to see their kids off to school again and just to have a little bit of their own personal space back, and the others that are sad and proud at the same time, watching their first or their last child go off to school. So this time of year often brings about some preschool shopping, for the new clothes, the new backpack, the new shoes, etc. So today I thought I'd share a few tips with you about buying a good backpack and about buying good shoes. The tips about the backpack are courtesy from the Australian Chiropractic Association, and the ones on shoes come mainly from the Australian Podiatry Association. So let's dive into this. If you're worried about your child's backpack fitting right and the weight that's in it, here are a few tips about it and ways to modify it so that they can get through a lot better. Now you need to make sure the backpack is the right size for your child. The width across here should be no wider than their shoulders. It should have a chest strap that goes on both sides, and ideally a strap between here, like this backpack does here. Now, ideally that would move up and down for the best backpack. However, not all backpacks give you that option. A molded frame on the back is ideal, and that sits right into their spine. And the bottom of the backpack, that should sit in the curve of their low back. Ideally, again, the sternum strap and another waist strap. However, like I said, most school backpacks don't have that. The Australian Chiropractic Association teamed up with, I think it's Spartan, to create the Chiropack. I don't personally stock them, but you can find them on the ACA website. Check that out if you're interested in it. Now, ideally on the inside, your kid's backpack will have separate compartments for storing stuff in, such as their hat, their lunch, different bags, computer, etc., if they need that. Now, as far as the weight of your child's backpack, ensure it's no more than 10% of their body mass. That gets pretty hard to do when you think about high school students, because your average adult male is 75 kilograms. So your backpack together with all your books and lunch and water should weigh 7.5 kilograms. So we're going to have to watch that. Ideally, we take out anything that's not 100% necessary for the day, and leave that at home. And if the school's got lockers that lock, ideally you'll use some of them for some of the stuff. Now we want to put the heaviest items towards the bottom of the backpack. This allows the weight to be distributed through the pelvis much easier. We want to secure the strap up here and the one at the waist if they have them both. Always secure both. And also reduce the amount of time your child spends wearing their backpack. Now, I often see kids walking to school with backpacks that are hung over one shoulder like this, their arm holding it out, and are hanging halfway to their knees. That's not ideal, and if that's your child, that's something you need to speak to them about, because it's not going to be healthy for their spine and could later lead to problems for them. Now, I've got kids, I know how hard it is to get them to break habits, and that's not cool, Dad. Work on them. You may be successful, you may not, but at least you've given him or her the knowledge to be able to make an informed decision. So moving on from there, let's talk about school shoes. School shoes are a pretty big thing for us. We will spend most of our day in our shoes or on our feet. For you ladies, you spend all of a day in a bra as well, and the rest of our time in our bed. So you just heard the three things I think everybody who has those pieces of anatomy should spend their money on: beds, shoes, bras for the ladies. So thank you to the Australian Podiatry Association for the majority of the following information. I'm not a foot specialist by any means. If your child has an unusual foot, or maybe you're concerned about falling arches or rolling out ankles, if they're over the age of 7, that's what the average podiatrist told me, was to get them checked by a podiatrist at that point if you're concerned about those. So let's get a little deeper. There's no such thing as the perfect shoe. There's no perfect shoe for everybody, because feet come in many shapes, sizes, and some even have deformities and things as such. And there are many different activities you're going to participate in. So when buying new shoes, it's important that you make sure these first things first. 1, they fit properly. 2, they're supportive for the kinds of activities that your child's going to be in during the day. So there are some really great shoes out there that are a cross between a dress shoe and a sports shoe. And those are the ones I like to see my children in when we can get them into them. And we don't want the shoe to cause any damage or hurt the foot in any way. You don't want to buy a pair of shoes that your child has to break in. They should be comfortable almost immediately upon putting them on. If you're having to break them in, they're going to cause blisters and sore feet, and your child's not going to want to wear them for one, but they're also not the correct shoe for you. And remember, you almost always have one foot that's larger than the other. In a good shoe shop, the staff there will help you find the shoes to fit the large foot. So other things you want to keep in mind is, what is your shoe made of? Leather is generally the preferred material because it's more durable and it holds up to the assault that our children put their shoes through. That's for the upper anyhow. For the lower, we want a synthetic rubber or highly gripping synthetic material. These are the best for grip, and they're often more durable and shock absorbent. How does the shoe fasten? All shoes should be fastened to the foot securely. If they're moving around on your foot and your foot's having to work to hold them on, it's going to exhaust your foot. And when that happens, it starts to strain the muscles in the foot, and this can go all the way up the spine and cause spinal issues, which is where I become even more concerned with it. I really dislike the Australian thong. Your toes have to squeeze together to hold them on, so if you're a big fan of those, I'll tell you it's 5 minutes at a time. The time it takes you to walk from the car to the beach to the car, and back into the house, those are the times you should wear them. The rest of the time, they're not great for you. And on a day like today where it's pushing 46 degrees, I know they're beautiful to wear to keep your feet cool. Now, the shape of your shoe is also another concern for you. If you've got pointed shoes, this causes the toes to be compressed, and they can even claw up. And over time, this can cause foot deformities, hammer toes, etc. Now, it can also cause changes in your overall body posture, which then again affects your spinal health. So if you got your toes all clenched up, this can also cause rubbing, lead to blisters, calluses, corns, etc. So a broad-toed shoe is the best and allows the toes room to move. The front of the shoe should be shock absorbent as well, and you should actually be able to twist it a little bit because your child's foot is quite flexible. You want them to be able to move. Now, heel height. Heels on shoes are ridiculous. I prefer a flat shoe, but if you're going to get any kind of heel, make sure it's less than 2.5 centimeters, because at that point it puts extra strain on the ball of the foot through the arch, and it locks the entire arch down. This increases the ability of your nerves to fire. It doesn't make them fire, but it brings them closer to the threshold where they do, and can predispose you to things like pain syndromes. So having no heel is a much better option. Now, always have a well-padded soles in your shoes and good shock absorption. Kids run, jump. I do the same thing, and it's really good to have that cushioning in there to protect your feet against the things that are on the ground. Now, you also want to make sure your shoes breathe, because fungal infections such as tinea love warm, moist environments. Absorptive socks can also help keep the moisture away. Lastly, your toes should never touch the end of your shoe. If they are, this can cause damage to your nails and your toes. Keep a gap of about 1 centimeter from the end of your largest toe on your largest foot. Shoes should also be broad enough and deep enough that you can outline your feet pressing against your shoes. They're probably too narrow if your toes are squashing, or the sides of your feet are squashing against the edges. And like I said earlier, don't buy shoes that need breaking in, and try not to wear secondhand shoes. And they've already molded to somebody else's foot. And shop for shoes later in the day. Our feet tend to swell during the day with the forces of gravity, and that allows our feet to be at the largest when we try on a shoe, so they're not going to be too small later in life. Now, again, I'd like to say thank you to the Australian Podiatry Association, and I'd just like to let you know that they do endorse the Ascent shoes that we often see advertised. These are generally an excellent shoe for our children. I trust you found this video very helpful. If you like it, please share it with your friends and family, maybe even like the page so you can get more like this. If you still find yourself suffering foot issues, you might want to check with a podiatrist, or spinal issues, get your child checked by one of our chiropractors in the office. To do that, just call 0885847011 and make an appointment with one of our chiropractors. You can also check out our website. That's www.cmanchiropractic.com.au, and from there you can subscribe to the newsletter or our blog if you like.